Hey there, friend. It's your old pal Atlanta United, and I just wanted to tell you that we're back.
Oh, hey, man, that's fantastic. So does that mean you're actually going to work on, trying to improve our defense?
No. But we got Almiron back.
Okay, so we're going to get like a good manager, improve in the midfield some.
Well, no, but we got a good striker now.
You do realize that you need a good defense to win trophies, right?
Oh, we don't need any of that silly stuff anyway.
All right, so same as usual then. Good to know. What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and pump the brakes. Oh, after my last video, I was excited, and now all that excitement is just gone because this game just brought it all back. All the memories of last season, all the reasons why I stopped watching. It's back. We have no defense. Until you improve on your defense, you're not winning a damn thing. Simple as that. And some people may disagree. If you do, then you're probably just watching because it's exciting and attack is all we need. And oh, we got Almiron and we got Latte and that's all we need. You can't be successful as a team in soccer if you have no defense. That is the basis of it. If you have no defense, you're constantly losing the ball. The other team is constantly getting at you. If you miss all your chances or miss several chances and you're just waiting to get that one, if you have a terrible defense, the other team's going to get their one chance and score, and now they're just going to shut up shop even more. And it's going to be even harder to get chances. And that's what happened today. It's the same old shit that I'm just used to seeing from this club. With the new president, the new director, and all this stuff, there was just this slight thought in my mind of maybe there will be some change. Maybe we'll actually see some change at this club. But we haven't. Because as long as Abram, as long as Hernandez, as long as Edwards, as long as guys like that are your backup options, the ones that are coming on whenever your first team players get injured, we're not going to win anything. Because they're not MLS quality. None of them are. I'm sorry, but Williams and Gregerson, they have a lot of flaws that don't really make them top MLS quality. So you've got two guys in Gregerson and Williams who are decent but have flaws. Lennon and Amador. For Lennon, I've already talked about him at length in the past, but he's a decent MLS player. He's got a lot of pace and energy, but he doesn't have quality on the ball. Amador I've not seen enough of to really make a judgment on. But that's your starting back four, is four players that are decent at best. No phenomenal players. You got Guzan, who's aging. Cohen, we've not seen enough of him to know if he's going to be a great keeper or not. And there's just no leadership outside of Guzan. The problem with playing him is you're going to have issues like we saw for the second goal today, where he's just going to be a little bit too old to get back across. That's going to happen. So our entire defense and keeper is just not good enough. And on top of that, we're playing without our best left and right back, even though they're, as far as I can tell, not phenomenal. We're without both of them. So now we're having to rely on Hernandez, who's not MLS quality. He's barely USL, if I had to take a guess. Edwards, who is a USL player. I mean, he's come up from the twos. And then Abram now today is the one having to slide over to left back. And he's awful at center back. So now you're playing him out of position. You can imagine the problems that come with that. And as long as your defense is this bad, you're not going to win championships anymore. You're just not. Because you have to be solid all around the pitch. You have to have a good, solid base to build out from. And if you don't, that stellar attack that you have, not going to mean a thing. That's how soccer works. You can't just have a good attack and then we'll figure out the defense later. No, you have to build from your defense. But before we get too much into the team, first of all, I will talk a little bit about the referee because, to be fair, the first goal, as bad as our defending was on it, should have been a foul. And it's funny because when the game first started, there were a couple of fouls that he called against us that I thought, okay, so he's going to keep it real tight today. Because there was the one where Edwards and Zaha are going at it, and they're kind of just battling for the ball, basically. And then Zaha just basically throws his arms up like the little baby he is, and the referee abides and gives him the foul. And then there's one where Latte puts a challenge in on the defender. Nothing over aggressive, basically just kind of puts his body in there and the defender steps across him and the ball goes out off the defender because he couldn't get a good touch on the ball. And so he throws his arms up at the referee and the referee goes, okay, I got you. That's a foul. And so I'm thinking, all right, so are they calling the game for you or are you just trying to keep it real tight? Because there were a couple of others that were a little bit soft, but went both ways. So I'm thinking maybe he's just really keeping it tight today. Not going to be a very physical game with him. But then the first goal comes from Schließ gets there first, pokes the ball into the path of the player. And as he's poking the ball away, Zaha goes to shoot, kicks his calf, and nothing was called. And VAR just sat there with their thumbs up their ass going, we're good. Our defending was atrocious. I'm not going to defend that, but the referees still have to call the game. They still have to call whenever a player kicks another player trying to shoot the ball. Doesn't matter what his intentions were, he still fouled him. But now going into what we did today, first starting with Deila, not a great game from him. I think he handled it very poorly. First half, I think we set up pretty well. We set up to try to hit him on the counter. We didn't want to let them get in behind us too much, which I thought was a good decision. And then second half, we came out, basically just played right into their hands. Really threw guys forward, really stepped out. And now all of a sudden, ball over the top, ball over the top, ball over the top, and it's just easy for them. And I don't know why that changed. I don't know what in the first half he saw to go, hey, we need to let them get in behind us. We need to step out more so they can dump the ball over the top and really get at us. I don't know what he saw that made him decide to do that, but we were exposed. And then on top of that, you look at the subs, waited way too late to bring on any subs, and then makes a mass change. 4 players. That's not how you manage a game. If you're trying to get back into it, first goal goes in, you make a sub. You make a change, you try to do something to get a goal back quickly. Doesn't do anything. Second goal goes in, still nothing. And then several minutes later, now we're making 4 subs with only, I think, 15 minutes left or something. That's way too late to do anything. And especially when you're bringing in 4 players at once, now that's a third of your team that has to get up to the pace of the game. That's not a good way to handle the game. That's not a good way to manage the game. So for him today, very poor performance and not a good sign. Granted, it's still early days. Only a second game in charge. I'm not going to judge him based on 2 games. But this one for me is very concerning to see. He made a lot of mistakes today from a manager's point of view. Getting into individuals, Guzan, like I said earlier, he's getting old. And that second goal, that's going to happen. So I don't understand why Cohen's not at least getting some starts here and there. Guzan, he's a good leader. He's great to have for that leadership mentality. But as far as a keeper, he still can make some good saves. He's still very gifted as a keeper, but we're going to have moments like that. Honestly, there were several moments whenever we're using him for his feet, and he's not going to be quick there either. And they're putting some high press on us. I don't understand why. I don't understand why we have to rely on him whenever we do have another option. It's like we don't want to move on. It's just that feeling of, oh, well, he was here since the beginning, so we got to stick with him. At some point, you got to just look at him and go, he's getting a bit too old. And today was a good example of why he's getting too old. In the defense, Edwards on the right side. I was going to change my tune on him after the first half because I thought he handled it pretty well. He's up against Zaha, who is probably Charlotte's most dangerous player, despite the fact that he's a little crybaby. And I thought Edwards handled it pretty well, putting in good challenges, doing well to track him, not letting him get in behind him, and keeping pace with him. The second half showed he doesn't have the capability to do it more than 45 minutes. He had a good first half, second half came out, and he was just all over the place. Defensively, now he's getting run by. He's not tracking runners. The second goal is entirely on him because he completely misreads the flight of the ball. It was just awful from him in the second half. But again, that's our backup option. It's either him or Hernandez over there right now until Lennon gets back, and that's just scary to me. Gregerson and Williams actually have the opposite problems because Gregerson defensively looks pretty solid. He doesn't get beaten behind too much. He looks like he's good at tracking his runners and making sure, even if they do get him behind, he does a good job of making sure to get back in front of them and basically not letting anybody get past him. On the ball, he's pretty shaky. There were several moments where his passes were a little loose or his touch was a little loose. Didn't look like he was comfortable on the ball. Williams on the ball looks fine. He looks very comfortable, but defensively, my God. Oh, it was bad. I mean, the first goal obviously is entirely on him. There's no reason why you should be stretching for a header for a ball that's going over the top. Like, you just have to run with it. You just go. You don't try to head it and then head it into the path of another player. You don't do that. But that's what he chose to do, and that cost us our first goal. And then there were several moments after that where he didn't want to head anything even though it was in front of him. If it's going behind you, you don't want to head it then, because then you're basically flicking it on into somebody's path, or most of the time you will. But when it's in front of you, you don't want to let it drop, because then now you're trying to struggle with a bouncing ball. You don't know where it's going to go. You don't know how it's going to bounce up off the grass. So you want to get it out first time. But now for all of those, he's just letting it bounce, and now the striker's coming at him, and now he has to make an even worse decision. It's not good enough. So it's a really weird mix right now where when we have possession, I don't mind having Williams back there, but I hate having Gregerson. But when we don't have possession, Gregerson's great to have back there. Williams scares me. And then on to the left side, you got a player who, whether we're in possession or out, he scares me, Abram. And as I said, he's a bad center defender. You move him out to the left, now he's out of position, and he's just as bad over there. First goal, nowhere near his man. Completely just let him past, way too slow to catch up, and it's an easy tap in for that guy because Abram's nowhere near him. It's as simple as that. You don't track your runners, you give up goals. And then in the second half, when he moved into the center back, got even more scared. But there was a moment where the ball goes over the top and it's in the air, and he gets there. Plenty of time. The guy that's running onto him is like 5 yards behind him. And yet still, he just takes his time. And then the guy nips in front of him, pokes it away, and now he's in on goal. And thankfully, Guzan is there to pick up the pieces. But I'm just like, what are you doing? Turn your brain on. Wake up. You got a game to play. 2-0 is still doable. Granted, it was very late in the game, so it's not like we had plenty of time to get it back. But you go 3-0 down, you're done. You're dead, and it's an embarrassing result. 2-0 is you still have a chance to get back in the game. So for him to make that decision to just turn off and let the guy nip in front of him, embarrassing. But he's our backup option at center back. That's where we are right now as a club. Into the midfield, Schleich, I thought, played okay today. Handled himself pretty well in the midfield. A couple of cheap giveaways here and there, but for the most part, he did his job well. Fortune was in there with him, and if I had to give any player on the pitch the most improved award, I would give it to Fortune, because I remember 2 years ago when he first started playing under Pineda, I remember thinking, this guy's playing? This guy who doesn't even look like he's USL level? I mean, he was awful. He was absolutely terrible in Pineda's first season. And he kept turning to him. I don't know why, because I remember at the time, I think it was Sadic we had, who was not great, but he was at least like bottom half MLS level quality. Fortune to me was not even a USL player. He was so slow, so easy to beat, looked so weak in the midfield. And then last season, I remember he came on and he looked like he had improved quite a bit. He looked more strong, he looked more capable, looked more comfortable in there, but I still didn't think he was quite ready. And then we get to the second game of this season, and tell you what, he looks pretty good in there. Not phenomenal, but pretty good. I think he looks like he could be a good asset for us. I think the main issue I have with him is there are some moments where he's a little bit too slow to release the ball, and he's good defensively. I don't mind seeing him out there anymore, and I think that for me is one of the biggest shocks as far as players that we have. I never expected to feel that way after the first time I saw him, or the first season that I saw him play. But here we are. He seems like he might actually be a decent asset for us this season. Going into the front four, first of all, Almiron on the right, I really think he needs to be playing in the middle. Some of that is because, I'll talk about Miranchuk in a second, but I think we need a bit more energy in the middle, and Miranchuk doesn't really bring that. But also, I just don't think Almiron's at his most effective when he's out on the right. I think the idea is for him to get out there and try to cut in on his left and have a shot, but the problem is most of the time players know to look for that, and there's 2 or 3 guys around him looking to block that shot when he comes in. He can get down the line fine, but then he doesn't really have any options because everybody's kind of crowded out, and there's only typically one option in there because Latte is the only real option that we have. We don't really get the best of Almiron when he's out on the right, and maybe that'll change if we get something a little bit different at center attacking mid, but for right now, I feel like when he moved into the center, granted it was later in the game so he wasn't getting on the ball as much, it looks more comfortable for him to be in there in the middle, being able to get on the ball and then trying to spray it out wide. I mean, he already kind of drifts in there anyway. But Miranchuk in the middle, that's where the game really fell apart for us in the attack today because he's just too slow. On the ball, he's too slow on the turn to pass the ball, especially because we were trying to break out. There were several moments whenever it gets to him and you just want him to release or go with pace or something, and he just doesn't. I don't know why, but he just dwells on the ball way too long, and it allows the defense around him to just close him in, force him backwards. Now we got players marked. And I remember thinking that when I saw him last season, but I was hoping maybe with Almiron coming in, with Latte coming in, maybe the energy around him would kind of help him use his skill, because he does look pretty skilled on the ball. Like, he's got good technical ability, but he's got to play quicker, because even with Almiron and Saba and Latte all bringing the energy around him and drawing some players out to them, he's still going to have pressure on him in the middle. And if he can't play himself out of that pressure quick enough, it doesn't matter how much pace we have around him. Saba on the left side, need a little bit more quality from him today. He was his usual energetic burst of energy type of player, but his quality in the final third was just awful. There was one, honestly, we should have scored because it was a great ball into him, and all he has to do is just take some time, easy tap in, and he wildly swings at it and misses it. We created so many chances, and yet we couldn't finish any of them, and then you get a moment like that, and you don't finish, and you swing and miss at it. That just makes it even worse. And then Latte, I feel like, was kind of marked out of the game today. He did put some effort forward. There were a couple moments whenever we tried to look long for him. There was one moment in particular where the AR called him offside in the first half, and he was not offside. He actually did pretty well, sat down 2 defenders and then got a corner out of it, and then the AR had to go put up the flag for some stupid reason. So I think today was just kind of a different challenge that he'll have to face, because there are going to be teams that do what Charlotte did today. They look to try to nullify any sort of breaking out, any sort of counterattack. They'll look to just try to pack in as many numbers as they can whenever we get the ball. And for players like Latte, it's going to be tough to figure out how to deal with that. Unfortunately, he just didn't have the answers today. As far as the subs that came on, the 4 that came on, none of them really did much to impress. Mascara had 1 decent chance, which he typically gets 1 or 2 decent chances whenever he comes on. He did okay. He's not really a player that excites me whenever he comes on. He'll have that great goal that we saw last week. He'll have that in his locker every few games, but he's not doing it consistently enough in the past to get me excited to see more of him. Like if the one chance he had where he cut inside on his right, if he buried that one and gave us a chance to maybe equalize, then maybe I start to get more excited, because then I start to feel like maybe he is getting that consistency in his game. He didn't do it, and he didn't do much outside of that chance to really help us as a team. For Zonde Silva, to be honest, after I didn't see him last week, I kind of wondered what's going on there. And he came on today, didn't really see too much from him. I expect more. I expect him to come on and make a change and do something to help the team. There really wasn't much whenever he got on the ball. No creativity with it, no drive to go forward to get past the defender. And on the one hand, yes, it is pretty late to be coming on trying to make a difference, but I still expect something from him. I still expect him to put himself about a little bit, get on the ball, try to make something happen. And I saw more from Mascara than I did from Silva, and that's disappointing. Tiare, I thought, did okay when he came on, had a pretty decent shot, tried to get on the ball and make something happen. He's a decent player. He's a player when he comes off the bench, you don't mind seeing it, because you know he has a little bit of quality to him, and he's got good pace, and he's got some good desire to try to run at a defender, cause some trouble, get on the ball, try to have a shot. He's going to try to do something when he's out there. And I think it's a good player to have coming off the bench, even if he's not quite the same level as a Yakimakis or even Latte. I think he's still a very useful striker to have, because it's not like the defense is going to get much of a rest with him coming on. But then Muyumba, this is the one that I have to ask some questions about, because when he came in, he was one of the couple, because there were several last season and the season before, there were several players that came in that just did not excite me, and then I watched and they were still not exciting. Muyumba with Saba were 2 of the highlights, I would say, that I was excited to see more of when they first came in, because there was something to their game that got me excited. I don't know what's happened with Muyumba. I remember not really seeing him in playoffs last season. I remember there were a few games where I saw he was on the bench for some reason, and I'm looking at it going, why? What's happened with him? And then he doesn't start last match. He doesn't come off the bench. And then he does come off the bench in this one, and he's not nearly the same level that I remember him being. I don't know what's happened with him. On the ball, he was giving the ball away way too easily. Defensively, he was too slow to react, gets himself a yellow for a silly foul because he's too slow to try to keep up with a player running at pace. It almost kind of felt like when he first came in, it was not quite Nagby, but there was a feeling of he could be similar to a Nagby. His ability on the ball, the pace that he has, he's pretty good at running down players as well. Felt like maybe he could bring some of what Nagby had. And now it just feels like I don't know what he brings anymore. And I don't know where that's come from. I don't know if that's a mentality thing. I don't know if it's just a quality thing, but he's definitely not anywhere near the level he needs to be playing. And that is really a shock to me. You know, we're fortunate. It's a big shock how good he's gotten from where I saw him a couple years ago. Feels like with Muyumba, how far he's fallen from where I remember seeing him. I can't remember if he was here 2 years ago, if he came at the beginning of last season. But definitely from when I saw him at the beginning of last season to where he is now, he's nowhere near the player I thought he was going to be. And then the final sub, Chong Ki. Don't know anything about him. I'm pretty sure he's young, like 17 or 18 or something like that. I don't know why he's coming on over somebody like Cobb if you have to make a change in defense. He came on. He actually had a couple of decent moments that I thought were better than anything Abram did throughout the match. Goes to show how bad Abram is. But all in all, this is just a hugely disappointing result, because this just goes to show they haven't learned anything from the past. This is still the same type of issues that we've had. They went and improved the attack. They got Almiron, they got Latte, both good players who are going to improve the attack. They haven't really done much in the midfield. You know, Cleach Maybe we'll improve it, but we've not seen much from him, and he didn't even play today. But we've done nothing in defense. We've not brought in anything. Nothing in center, nothing on the fullback, and now our 2 starting fullbacks are hurt. We have to go to these guys that should not be playing in the MLS. It's just not good enough. And as long as it continues to be this way, we'll probably pick up some wins at home because we just have that home field advantage. We have enough quality going forward that will probably outscore the opponents. So the only hope we really have is that Lennon and Amador come back real soon. They're good. They do their jobs well. And that starting back 4 can click well. But to be perfectly honest, this game just kind of put me in a mood of I got too excited about the Almiron transfer. Maybe I hyped myself up a little too much about what he was going to bring and where the club was going to be with him coming back. Maybe I should have looked at it over a set of games instead of just seeing the one game and being like, yes, we've got it. What can I say? I was just hoping for something since Chelsea's been so bad recently. I was really hoping that Atlanta would be able to turn it around and give me something to be excited about. But here I am again with both of my teams being absolute shit. Love it. I've been loving these past few years. And by loving it, I mean I want to die. But anyways, with all that being said, those are my thoughts on the game today. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts? Let me know. We could talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Atlanta United reviews. Also check out the channel. We have a lot of reviews on here as well as some Let's Plays. So check those out if you have time. But until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. Now I'll talk to you all later. Peace out.